Alright, I get it, okay? I now understand why so many people love Pride and Prejudice so much. I recently decided that I wanted to learn more about the romance genre. I mean, people love romance books, and they've been around forever. But of course, in order to properly learn about something, we have to go back to the beginning, which is why I enlisted 3 other incredible content creators to go through the history of romance books with me in a new podcast we call The Panelists. And we just released our 2nd episode, which is all about Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my thoughts in this video, but if you want a true deep dive, you can check out the full episode on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify right now. Please go watch or listen to it. We're a little baby podcast, and we need all the support we can get. Anyway, Pride and Prejudice. Published in 1813, this was actually Jane Austen's 2nd novel, and it tells the story of Mrs. Bennet, a woman on the verge attempting to get her 5 daughters married. Of course, the daughter who takes center stage in this story is Elizabeth Bennet. She is not easily wooed, speaks her mind, and is unwilling to settle for just any man. Enter Mr. Darcy. At first meeting, Mr. Darcy seems cold, calculating, proud, and judgmental. That is to say, he and Elizabeth do not get off to a good start. As the story progresses, we see them butt heads in various ways. But the magic of this story really is watching these 2 characters grow, learn from their mistakes, and do better for each other. When talking about the history of romance, there's so much in this book that is still prevalent in romance books today. Obviously, the enemies to lovers trope is still alive and well. Dark and broody leading men, still around. Awkward miscommunication, yep, that still exists today too. But even though this book came out a long time ago, I think it still manages to do some things better than modern romance books. For one thing, this book is very funny. Even centuries later, the jokes in this book still work. And a lot of the humor in this book is thanks to a myriad of fantastic side characters. Mrs. Bennet's constant anxiety attacks are absolutely ridiculous. And Mr. Collins, well, some people are just awkward, okay? We talked about on the podcast how a lot of modern romance books don't have a lot of side characters because the main characters don't seem to have any friends or family, which is weird because here in Pride and Prejudice, we see a living and vibrant world of characters, and they really make all of the things that are happening in this book feel very real and relatable. Also, Pride and Prejudice doesn't have a 3rd act breakup, and it's better for it. Instead, we see a mid-book crash and burn level of a proposal, and Darcy and Elizabeth walk away from that moment being given lots of time and situations in order to grow and better themselves. And all of this and more adds up to a book that truly is timeless. This actually is my 2nd time reading Pride and Prejudice. It's even my 2nd time talking about it here on the internet. But the first time I read it pretty casually. I didn't really engage with it that much. So reading it with a more critical eye and thinking about it in the more historical context really helped me enjoy this book even more. I even watched the 1995 miniseries after finishing the book just to ground myself in this world a little bit more. And y'all, I loved it. It was so much fun. I understand now why this book has been remade and reinterpreted over and over and over and over again. Because it is a story that is so wonderful and so rereadable. And more importantly, it is a book that has left its fingerprints on pretty much every romance book that came after it. And as we continue to read through the history of romance books, I think this one is going to be hard to beat. But all of that being said, the next book that we'll be reading on our romance journey is Jane Eyre. I found this copy with this really eerie cover and these deckled edges. Ooh. Like I said, please make sure to check out the podcast, like, comment, rate, subscribe, all of that stuff. And also, let me know what you think of Pride and Prejudice and if you have a favorite part or character. I love Catherine de Bourgh. She's an icon.